Panzer Dragoon is a rail shooter originally released on the Sega Saturn in 1995, developed by Sega. I purchased a Sega Saturn at launch, and along with Daytona USA and the pack-in game Virtua Fighter, Panzer Dragoon was one of the games that I brought home. It was recently remade in 2020 by MegaPixel Studio for the Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC. I am playing the Steam version for this review. The story is very simple. Your protagonist is hunting in a canyon when you stumble upon a large ancient ruin. As you explore the ruins, you are attacked by a gigantic armored creature. As you narrowly escape, you see a pair of dragon riders fighting in the skies. The rider on the blue dragon is fatally wounded, and he lands near you. He uses some telepathic form of communication to tell you his mission, and how you must now ride the dragon to accomplish what he has failed. The dragon lets out a sad cry as his master perishes, but then invites you to take control. And off we go to stop the black dragon and reach the mysterious tower. From here on, the game is a fairly straightforward rail shooter with a few twists. A good way to describe the gameplay would be to think of Star Fox, but you can rotate your view 90 degrees in either direction, giving you a full 360-degree view. This can initially feel disorienting, as you continue to barrel forward even while you are looking to the side or behind you. You will need the radar at the top right to help warn you where enemies are currently located. You can shoot single shots, or hold down the attack button to charge your weapon for a series of homing attacks. This is very useful for fast-moving groups of enemies. To protect yourself, you will need to both move your dragon out of the way of projectiles, as well as shoot down incoming attacks. The bosses are generally well done, with multiple attack patterns, phases, and often moving around you, requiring you to make extensive use of the 360-degree view. If you are good at button mashing, you can take down some of the bosses very quickly. I used the classic controls in my playthrough, which were similar to how the game originally controlled on the Sega Saturn. Moving your reticle also moves your entire dragon. Just to see the difference, I tried the modern controls with the controller as well as the keyboard and mouse. This allows you to move your crosshairs with the right stick and move your dragon with the left, which makes the movement and aiming very fluid, but I wasn't a fan of constantly pressing the trigger button to shoot with this method. But with the keyboard and mouse, it felt extremely accurate and versatile, likely making the game easier than it was intended. This is a very short game, like almost insultingly short, but this is from a bygone era of video games. It would be best to compare this game to a classic Sega arcade game, which offered fast and frantic gameplay for a very short duration, just long enough to take a handful of quarters. I'm kind of surprised this game wasn't released as an arcade game in the same vein of Space Harrier and the like. You get 6 episodes, which consist of a barrage of enemy attacks, obstacles you must avoid, and a large boss encounter at the end. After the 6 main episodes, there is a final boss level. This game took me roughly 45 minutes to complete from start to finish on the normal difficulty. I am no pro gamer, and I haven't played Panzer Dragoon in probably 20 years or so, but I managed to get all the way to the final boss before I even died for the first time in my playthrough, and managed to complete the game on my very next attempt. Take that how you will. There is a hard difficulty, which will of course extend your gameplay a bit, and there is an achievement to play for 100 hours. Why would you do this? Which seems excruciating, but have at it if that's your thing. I've always liked the style of the original game. Unique looking dragons flying around varying environments with an interesting selection of enemies. What's not to like? Regarding the remake, it looks nice. Not fantastic, not terrible, but it looks fine. The game does a generally good job of recreating the environments from the original, while adding many new effects, background details, and more. The enemies are similarly well done in the remake. They do a good job of recreating the original design, but with more detail. It ran very smoothly on my computer, but of course this will vary from system to system. They chose to stick with pre-rendered cutscenes like the original, which are of a much higher quality as you would expect. It was nostalgic to see these, as most games now are able to tell the story completely in the game engine. Back then it was a necessity to show complex story scenes with pre-rendered graphics, and while the shift can be a bit jarring, it is nice they kept to the original design. Playing these games back to back, the biggest improvement for me were the draw distance and frame rate. It is nice seeing far into the horizon with everything rendered. That severe pop-in from the Saturn original could be very distracting. The original game also ran at only 20 frames per second, which was honestly fine at the time, but now that can be a bit painful to go back to. The faster frame rate not only looks much better, but makes the game much more responsive as well. The sound is definitely one of my favorite aspects of the game. They retained the original soundtrack of the Saturn game, and the nostalgia just swells when I hear these tunes. They fit perfectly in with the remake, and I am really glad they went this route. The music manages to perfectly capture so many moments, from sweeping epic, to the creepy unknown, to the blood-pumping excitement. It really holds up even today. It is one of those scores that you can easily listen to outside the game. This soundtrack is the default, but they have an alternative soundtrack as well for a different option. It does sound good, but I'd always play with the original, even just for nostalgia's sake. The sound effects are fine, nothing really stood out to me too much in either a good or bad way. It is entirely serviceable, but I noticed they changed the dragon's cry in the beginning, and I definitely did prefer the original. So in conclusion, would I recommend that you purchase this game? Well, you need to know what you're getting into with Panzer Dragoon. It is from another era where arcade game action was the big thing, and games didn't need to have many hours of gameplay to be worthwhile. They just needed a great gameplay hook that you could keep coming back to. It is really just the original Saturn classic with a new coat of paint, and for many, I don't think that's going to be enough. I would have loved to have seen expanded gameplay, new levels, different modes, anything to prolong the experience. It felt much easier than the original to me, and I don't see a ton of replay value here. I did enjoy playing through it again, and was happy with my purchase as I got it on sale. So, in conclusion, if you are nostalgic for this game and would like to try it again on modern hardware, then my recommendation would be to grab it on a discount and enjoy your short trip down memory lane. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, I'd appreciate it if you click that like button. To see more, be sure to subscribe to the channel to get notifications when I upload the next video. You can also follow me on my Twitch channel for more content. Until then, keep gaming, my friends.